What's going on, Who Dat Nation? And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast, the podcast where we talk about the New Orleans Saints. My name is TJ Jones, and thanks for checking out the podcast. And I am so excited about doing this podcast today because the New Orleans Saints beat the Minnesota Vikings. That's right, the Saints exercised some demons. Everybody knows about the divisional round of the playoff that took place last season where the biggest heist in NFL history took place. 10 seconds left. Case Keenum to Stephon Diggs. Touchdown with no seconds left on the clock. Everybody going crazy. Minneapolis miracle. Well, Minneapolis. Well, Minnesota. Ain't no miracle happened this time. The New Orleans Saints knocked off the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 30-20. And I'm going to be honest with you, as a Who Dat fan, as a card-carrying member of the Who Dat Nation, I cannot tell you how happy I am to get this victory, watch this victory take place, because to me, this was poetic justice. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I was doing these podcasts throughout the week, I know I had to be impartial because I like to break the Saints down and be as objective as I possibly can be. If I feel like the Saints are not going to win this week, then I am not going to say it. But it wasn't until around 8:20 Eastern Standard Time out here in South Carolina while I was watching the Saints game. It wasn't until I sat down and I looked at the Saints inside of US Bank Stadium and I said to myself, man, I really want the Saints to win this game. I could not believe it. I thought I was okay. I thought, man, all this whole week, look, we've seen Marcus Williams miss the tackle. We have seen it over and over and over again. And we're like, man, it's a brand new year. But I really wanted the Saints to win this game when I watched it on television. And the Saints delivered. They knocked off the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 30-20. And Drew Brees, surprisingly, Drew Brees was only 18 of 23 for 120 yards, 1 touchdown, and he threw his first interception of the season. Now, for all those people out there that are talking about Patrick Mahomes and he's just the MVP, it ain't even close, knock it off, all right? Who did Patrick Mahomes actually play? Who has Patrick Mahomes actually played to say that he is just leaps and bounds better than every single quarterback in the National Football League? You're playing the AFC East, man. Who in the AFC East is worthy, besides the New England Patriots, of being talked about? I'll wait. And not to mention, the AFC West, besides the LA Chargers, suck. The Denver Broncos, man, please. Case Keenum throw more picks than my favorite wrestler, Razor Ramon. And then we want to talk about what's going on in Oakland. Man, that dumpster fire. And y'all talking about MVP? No. If you want to talk about MVP, talk about Drew Brees. Threw his first interception 8 weeks into the season. But I'm going to talk about that for another day. Because every time I hear about Patrick Mahomes, and the guy's good, but how can you say that a guy who throws for 26 touchdowns and 6 interceptions is better than a guy who throws for 14 touchdowns and 1 interception? And not to mention that the New Orleans Saints have the toughest schedule in all of the National Football League. Y'all gonna hear that podcast one day. But back to this game. The Minnesota Vikings, they came out, man, they look pretty good. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. The Minnesota Vikings have the best wide receiver tandem in all of the National Football League. Yeah, we all love Michael Thomas. That man is the truth. In my opinion, he is the new Chris Carter. But Adam Thielen, oh my goodness, man. Adam Thielen is a beast. Now, I know, look, we just got to be honest about this. The reason why a lot of people ain't talking about Adam Thielen, in my opinion, is because he a white wide receiver doing this. If Adam Thielen was an African-American black wide receiver out here doing what he was doing, man, everybody be talking about he's the best wide receiver in all of football. Adam Thielen, this dude is the best wide receiver in football. Point blank, period. Look, Julio Jones, he a beast, but he need to find the end zone. All right, he need to find the end zone before we start talking about him again. And Odell Beckham Jr., please, man, somebody get this dude a Kleenex so he can stop crying. Adam Thielen, 8 straight 100-yard games. Okay? 8 straight, which is tied for NFL record with who? Megatron. Anytime you mention Calvin Johnson, Megatron, and you're in a conversation with him, you're a beast, dude. And Stephon Diggs, the dude is the truth also, man. But the New Orleans Saints, they battled, okay? The secondary, I ain't gonna lie to you, they look really, really bad in the first half of this football game, especially P.J. Williams. P.J. Williams, look, check this out, man. Look, I understand that P.J. Williams had a pick six. I understand that P.J. Williams, along with Alex Anzalone, forced the fumble from Adam Thielen that shift the game. But P.J. Williams stinks. For real. In the secondary, P.J. Williams stinks. But I want people to pay attention to this, okay? I want people to focus on this. P.J. Williams stinks. That is true. But you don't see it because the Saints play a lot of zone unless they have to go up against top-tier receivers. If you look at the Atlanta Falcons game, you had Marshawn Lattimore. Okay, you had Marshawn Lattimore and Julio Jones. So that was man-to-man coverage. They had to play man-to-man coverage because you had to account for Julio Jones. Anytime it is mano y mano, wide receiver versus cornerback, wide receiver versus P.J. Williams, he's going to get smoked. If he doesn't have any safety help, he is going to get exposed. P.J. Williams has been this bad all season long. All right? Look, you cannot tell me. I understand that Ken Crawley was inactive in this game, but you cannot tell me that Ken Crawley is not a better cornerback than P.J. Williams. Now, some people will probably say, man, that's not saying much. But I will say Ken Crawley is better than P.J. Williams. P.J. Williams is a liability. The Saints are going to have to play top receivers. Next week, they're going up against the L.A. Rams. All right, the L.A. Rams ain't no joke. They have Robert Woods. They got Brandon Cooks. They got Cooper Kupp. Man, they got Ty Gurley coming out the backfield. These guys ain't no joke. And if the New Orleans Saints don't want to get embarrassed inside of the Superdome, they're going to have to do something with P.J. Williams. Don't give me this pick six stuff because it was more about what Stephon Diggs didn't do more so than what P.J. Williams did. Look, but it is what it is. I'm happy that the Saints got this victory. I had the Saints winning this game. I thought that the score was going to be similar to what it was in the divisional round. I was kind of right, okay? The Minnesota Vikings had 30 in the divisional round. The Saints had 30, but the Saints did get the win, and I was really, really impressed because it wasn't because of Drew Brees, okay? Drew Brees is a guy who can go out there and give you 350 yards in his sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can go back there and just drop off 300 yards like it ain't nothing. But to see these guys defensively rise to the occasion, and I'm about to start calling this guy Mr. Primetime. Marcus Davenport is Mr. Primetime. Anytime the lights are bright, that man show up. The biggest games that he done had all season was against the Washington Redskins on Monday Night Football and the game on Sunday night against the Minnesota Vikings. I watched this guy. I mean, he had so many quarterback hurries. He almost had a forced fumble. And I think the league need to check that last play because I think he got a fumble recovery. When Stephon Diggs caught the pass with 9 seconds left in the game, he tried to throw it back. Man, it looked like Marcus Davenport got that forced fumble. So it might add to his stats. The dude is the truth. And Sheldon Rankins quietly is having a great season. He has 4 sacks. He had 2 versus the Vikings. The man is acting a plumb fool. You cannot run on the Saints. Now, the Minnesota Vikings did have some success running against the Saints, but Sheldon Rankins and the guys up front, along with Cameron Jordan and Marcus Davenport, these guys handling up on business, man. But the secondary, I like the addition of Eli Apple. I know a lot of people are probably saying, a lot of Saints fans probably saying, man, he got smoked this, that, and the third. Look, man, the guy just came maybe like on Wednesday of last week. I mean, give him a break. That's probably the reason why the Saints were playing a lot of man. It's because they probably just told him, okay, Eli, look, we're going to do man-to-man. You just guard this guy, and make sure that he don't catch the ball. That's probably what they did. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. We're going to really see what Eli Apple is about going into this next game. But I will say this. He did a lot of good things. I seen one play where he actually tackled Stephon Diggs to the ground because he got beat on a double move. Know a lot of people are looking at that like that's a crazy play. But, I mean, that's pretty smart. It's better for you to take the yards and possibly get your defense a stop at the goal line than to allow him to score. So that was pretty smart, man. I think Eli Apple could be what the Saints have been looking for, and I think that he likes playing for the Saints along with a couple people that he is familiar with. I seen pictures with him and Von Bell at the Pelican game, so you know they got some camaraderie there. I'm very happy about this New Orleans Saints team, and now the world knows that these guys are for real, and the Saints need to be respected. They need to be at least the number 2 team in all of the NFL. I'm not impressed about the Kansas City Chiefs. I understand they only lost 1 game, but I'm not impressed. And as far as the New England Patriots are concerned, man, wake me up when they play somebody. The New Orleans Saints are the best team in football. And I am going to get my predictions this week against the LA Rams. Of course, I'm going to let y'all know how that game's going to go. But as of right now, I think that the New Orleans Saints are the best team in football. They just showed you they can win any way that is possible. They can win any way they want to. They can throw the ball for 300 yards, or they can run the ball down your throat, or the defense can step up. This is one of the best Saints teams I ever seen. I think they better than last year, and I'm not over-exaggerating. I think they better than last year. But once again, the Saints get the victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Poetic justice. Marcus Williams, he get the game ball. You know he had to be happy about getting that win. I wish he would have got that interception on the goal line when Kirk Cousins threw the ball to Kyle Rudolph. He didn't get it, but he did get the game ball. And I heard that he was playing with a heavy heart because his grandfather passed away. So Marcus Williams, man, you in my prayers, man. I'm glad that the team, along with you, got that W, man. I know it had to feel good. And it's good to know that we can put all of this stuff to sleep. Okay, y'all can keep on showing it, but eventually it's going to go away, all right? The Saints came back and they got the revenge that they were seeking. And you can tell by a lot of these players' tweets and a lot of things they said after the game, this game meant a whole lot to them. You can tell during the week they were just being political, all right? It's good, okay? It's good to want that dub, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Y'all deserve that dub. And Carl can't remember who that nation, like myself, we're glad that you got it. Well, this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Check out the State of the Saints podcast on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. You can also check out the State of the Saints podcast on Twitter at SOTS Podcast 8. That's SOTS Podcast 8 on Twitter, and continue to follow on Facebook. Go ahead and follow the State of the Saints podcast there as well. Till next time, my name is TJ Jones, and to all my Who Dat fans out there, all I got to say is, Who Dat?